Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Well, the time to act is now if you're a Medicaid recipient in Prince George's. County health officials are urging you to update your information for renewal right away. The state resumed Medicaid eligibility reviews in April, and officials say renewals are no longer automatic. That means if you're enrolled in Medicaid or the state's Children's Health Program, you must apply for renewal. This policy change could impact more than 315,000 Prince Georgians.
The unwinding took effect in May, which now means that those who are eligible, who continue to be eligible, they still have to renew. So the renewal is annual. So we want to make sure that we get the word out to let everyone know. Go to marylandhealthconnection.gov. Make sure you update all of your information, your address, your phone number, and email, because you're going to get a letter. And when you get that letter, you have 45 days to respond.
And for more details, visit the website on your screen. Well, more than 1.2 million Americans have been diagnosed with HIV, according to the latest CDC report. And for every 100 people living with the disease, the agency says only 87 know their status. Locally, Prince George's County has the highest rate of new cases in the state of Maryland. HIV testing day today. Officials say knowing your status is important, and that's why SLK Health Services teamed up with Walgreens for a free testing event in Cheverly this morning. That's where we met Prince George's resident Deborah Dyson. She tells us that she's been living with HIV for decades.
Seek help. Talk to someone that you know that is positive, because a lot of people that are not give you negative information. Seek a doctor. There is help out here. It's okay because we live today. We're not dying from HIV. We're not dying from all the things that goes on with HIV. We're living, we're pushing through.
So we're out here coming to the community to make sure that people are testing so that they know their status. In any event that someone does test positive, what we're doing is that we're connecting them immediately to services with CCI Health. So should we get a positive today, whether it be for HIV or whether it be for syphilis, we'll be immediately contacting our clinic so that we can get them scheduled into care within a week's time.
And if you have questions about testing or healthcare options, you can visit the website on your screen. A firefighter has died following a house fire in Leonardtown this morning. Authorities were called to a home engulfed in flames on Deerwood Park Court in St. Mary's County about 5:30 a.m. Now, responding firefighter, who was also part of one of the first crews to enter the burning home, was on the first floor when he fell into the basement. He was transported to a local hospital where he died. Officials say he worked for the Patuxent River Naval Air Station.
Right now, the home is a complete loss. Our investigators are digging down through the debris. They're delayering the debris as best as they can to try to provide an answer. What I can tell you is that the family heard a large boom before they recognized the fire. We're investigating on what that was. We do understand that there was some very strong thunderstorms that had rolled through the area beforehand. So we're looking at a possibility. Is it a possibility of a lightning strike? We just don't know at this point. It still remains under investigation.
And officials say about 75 firefighters responded to the scene. The Maryland State Fire Marshal is investigating the incident. Well, Laurel's former police chief will spend the rest of his life in jail. 71-year-old David Crawford was sentenced today to life plus 75 years. Back in March, Crawford was found guilty of 8 counts of attempted murder and 3 counts of first-degree arson. The former chief set fires at several homes in Ellicott City and Elkridge. His attorney plans to file an appeal. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Coming up, we meet the county's new LGBTQ liaison. He's Antonio Driver, and we'll hear from him next.
To be a part of this movement and making this a safer and better place for all people.
At first, just leaving the house was hard.
But When the Warrior Project helps you realize it's possible to get out there.
To feel a sense of camaraderie again.
To find the tools to live life better.
Through generous community support, we've connected warriors and their families with no-cost physical and mental health services, legislative advocacy, career assistance, and life skill training for 20 years. And we're just getting started.
Well, he's the very first LGBTQ liaison for Prince George's County. His name is Antonio Driver, and Driver says he's eager to work with the community. During an interview with CTV News this morning, he talked about expectations for the job.
What do you think the LGBT community of Prince George's County can expect from you?
One, simply being that voice, listening, having an open door to hear concerns, also seeing events, talking about safety, talking about housing, talking about workforce development, and creating and working with other organizations to create those programs to address the needs.
And if you have any LGBTQ plus related questions, comments, or concerns in regards to the county, you can reach Driver at the email on your screen. Well, this was the scene outside of a Montgomery County Board of Education meeting this afternoon. Hundreds of parents, students, and religious groups rallied to restore the county's opt-out program in response to a new LGBTQ inclusive curriculum. It will introduce books featuring LGBTQ characters in the classroom, which some protesters argue goes against their religious beliefs. In March, the school system revised its policies, revoked the opt-out option, and said parents should not expect to be notified when the books would be used in their child's classroom.
They've responded only with, unfortunately, arrogance and obstinance. They've refused to even listen in good faith. So it's a very disappointing response from them, and it looks that most likely these kind of protests are going to have to continue, and the legal efforts are going to have to continue until they're forced to back down.
And a federal lawsuit has been filed against the school system for violating First Amendment rights to religious freedoms. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court is on the cusp of once again deciding whether colleges and universities can consider race when making admission decisions. Past rulings have reflected a sharp split over what the Constitution and the federal law allow. Rulings expected this week on 2 more cases are likely to do the same. Dr. Roger Davidson with Bowie State University says minority communities will be immediately impacted by the decision.
Just another cog in the wheel that will hold back Black and brown people. The ability to access elite institutions where students can make pertinent connections with others, obtain a high quality education with a brand name is being targeted. It also then says that Black students are not as capable as others of getting into these schools.
Meantime, the Supreme Court rejected a conservative challenge to redistricting this morning. The lawsuit challenged the ability of state courts to weigh in on congressional maps and would have radically reshaped how federal elections are conducted. The case was dismissed with a 6-3 vote. Well, stay off the tracks. They're dangerous. That's the message from Metro as recent videos show riders risking their lives to cross subway tracks. Alarming Metro footage shows a man crossing the tracks Friday at the Eisenhower Avenue station in Northern Virginia. The man in the video hops onto the tracks and crosses over 2 of the third rails. These third rails are charged with 750 volts of electricity, which could kill you. WMATA says this is one of more than 30 incidents in the past 3 months. The Baltimore Orioles and Bowie Bay Sox are getting their hands dirty for a community service project. It's their Orange and Black Gives Back Week, and they're participating in several community development projects throughout the area. Earlier today, they partnered with Green Team Bowie to help beautify the community.
They decided that they wanted to do a community cleanup day, which we very much appreciate. So I brought them out to a couple of areas, like commercial areas where we have a lot of trash.
I think this may be one of the first community service events we've done as a team, and I think it's really important and beneficial for all of us to grow together, and then also to just be out here helping our community that we're playing in, that we're here, living up here for 6 months at a time and bringing our families up here. So it's really nice to to get out and do something like this for the community.
Well, I'm hoping when I post some of the pictures on our social media, City of Bowie, that people will be like, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, like these guys are busy, and if they can take the time to come out and clean the community, then I think our residents would love to see that and maybe help.
And the Orange and Black Gives Back Week of Service ends tomorrow. For more information about projects, you can visit the website on your screen. And coming up after the break, we are back at Prince George's Stadium with Simon Buggs and your Tuesday Sports Page report. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, and coming up in sports, Bowie Bay Sox team manager Kyle Moore gives some insight on the team season. Stay right there.
Need a ride? Yeah! Driving with kids is a big responsibility.
Hop in and buckle up!
So don't sweat the small stuff.
You got paint all over our paper!
Get the big stuff right instead.
What does that mean?
Like making sure your kids are in the correct car seat and buckled up for safer travel.
That deserves a wiggly wiggly wig.
To make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Beep, beep. Yeah.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, pop-up car events in the county may soon become scarce. County police have launched a new initiative to address illegal pop-up car events and street racing. These events can include crowds of up to 150 people and reckless driving, causing property damage and hazards for bystanders. One of the events happened Saturday night at a parking lot near Marlboro Pike and Forestville Road. Police stepped in to disperse the crowd and made 3 arrests. Well, County Executive Angela Alsobrooks' Senate race is gaining momentum. Alsobrooks received 21 additional endorsements from leaders and lawmakers across Maryland today. They include state senators Alonzo Washington, Pamela Beidel, and Mary Washington. This brings her total number of endorsements to more than 65. Alsobrooks officially launched her campaign in early May in a bid to replace retiring Senator Ben Cardin.
All right, everyone, it's time for your Tuesday Sports Page. The Bowie Bay Sox haven't had the best record so far, as they are currently just 31-38 and have the 6th best record in their division. I got a chance to talk to team manager Kyle Moore, and he touched on what he's like from the team despite the record.
I think early in the year at one point we were 18-31, and we ended up finishing, pretty dang good after that. I think the last 5 weeks is something that we really highlighted is we played the way we wanted to play the last 5 weeks, and so we won 4 out of 5 series. And we're just hoping to take some of that momentum into the second half. Fortunately, in this league, there's a champion of the first half and a champion of the second half. So the record kind of resets, and it gives us a new life and a new way to go forward and sort of start that second half fresh.
Moore also told me the players he thinks stood out so far this season.
I think the first one you got to point to is Kobe Mayo. I mean, he's been as hot as anybody. Whole bunch of homers, really hitting the ball hard to the opposite field, which is something that he came into this season not really being able to do. So I think that's a credit to our hitting department, and Sherman Johnson's done a great job with him. We've had a bunch of guys that have had to make league adjustments. So they came in the first month or two, they were really struggling. Billy Cook, Dante Williams, John Rhodes, middle of our lineup guys that weren't quite really ready to play here. They weren't quite ready for the challenge, and now they've made some giant adjustments that have made themselves really good for this league.
And that is your Tuesday Sports Page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. And now let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, possible thunderstorms, lows near 65. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, highs around 82. Thursday, even brighter skies with highs near 86. And Friday, sunny and possible storms with a high around 87. Now for your community calendar, civic leaders along with council members Eric Olson and Wanika Fisher are hosting a Pride Month event in Riverdale Park this week. That's this Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Dennison's Brewing Company. Participants are asked to RSVP to the link on your screen. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great night.